Facebook. How y'all doing? YouTube and Facebook. My name is Andres Lopez. I'm your SDEC for Senate District 25. I have a very special guest today, Michelle Beckley. For she's running for state rep. Michelle Beckley. She's running for lieutenant governor. I would like to introduce her uh, to this to Facebook and our YouTubers. Here, take it away, Michelle.
Thank you. And is it Andreas? Do I say the Andreas or do you say Andre? Anyways, I am State Representative Michelle Beckley. I flipped a state house district up here in Denton County on the southeast Denton corner of Denton County. Currently, I represent Carrollton, Louisville, a little bit of Dallas. I became the first Democrat to ever represent this district. I flipped it in 2018, being outspent 10-1. We beat the bathroom bill author and really came out of nowhere. A lot of people did not expect a win in Denton County in 2018. But, you know, Texans are getting sick of the Republican Party. That's just the reality. I did manage to improve my margin in 2020. I'm a small business owner. I own a bird store here in the DFW area that my mom started in 1979. I took over in 2003. I really fighting for healthcare, education, and you know, we've got to fix our grid. But during the last legislative session, I served on the elections committee and saw how crazy that is. And, you know, we predicted that these voter registrations were going to be difficult, and then these mail-in ballot problems were all predicted, and really set up for that committee. But my thanks for improving my margin of my state house district is they cracked 13 precincts and carved my house out of the district. I no longer live in the district that I represent. And the margin is better for me to run for lieutenant governor. And after seeing how crazy the state house is becoming and the Texas legislature, it is so important that we flip this lieutenant governor's seat and take some control back. We are going to see, because of redistricting, a Republican Senate and a Republican State House, because the districts are just so gerrymandered. And so going into that, it is so important to get some balance back into the State House. I was asked to run because the polling that was currently at that time, it was two guys that were running. They weren't polling above 20% amongst Democratic voters. And we have some new polling that just came out today. I am winning in the Latin vote. I'm proud to say, though, there's still not a whole lot. I came in late in this race, and while I am ahead by 2 points, we still have a ways to go. And a lot of voters don't know about the lieutenant governor's race. I also, in case you guys know about the secret recording of the Speaker of the House, I was the Democrat that he called vile and heinous and mentioned over 7 times in that hour-long secret recording. The reality is the Republican Party is afraid of a small business owner that got sick and tired of their policies and just flipped a district and became part of the system. So that is where I am. So I'm ready to be your next lieutenant governor. I do think we need a pit bull in this position, and I am definitely got a reputation of standing up for people. It's really all about the people.
And thank you. Thank you for fighting for us in the state legislature when it was like impossible for anything to happen there. Thank y'all.
This last session was horrible. It was horrible. So the 2 sessions I was there are night and day, because in 2018 we flipped 12 state house seats. Quite a few in the North Texas area. It's the suburbs. I really think Democrats need to focus on the suburbs where we're winning. We are winning in the suburbs, and there's a lot of votes in the suburbs. If you look at Denton and Collin County, they both saw a 35% increase in population. So we're seeing this population increase, and you've got these new people who are coming in, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. Really, we have the better policy, because we actually have a policy. We're not just, going out on a crazy limb. We have, we want to fight for education. We want to make sure our teachers get what they are. I went to Texas A&M. I've got a degree in biomedical science. And weirdly enough, I own a bird store, and birds are very susceptible to airborne diseases. And my business was deemed essential. So I know how to run a business without having an employee outbreak and keeping everybody safe. And, you can do that cost effectively, and you can give guidance to businesses, and making sure we can keep businesses open while keeping people safe. We can do both. We are quite capable of doing both.
Yes, yes. And what makes you different from your two other opponents?
So the biggest difference is I have won an election, and I'm on a swing district. Neither one of my opponents has ever been elected. I am the only current elected official that is running on the statewide ballot. I mean, this is a tough year. It is going to be a tough year. I think we just saw all the financing came out. I mean, it's going to be a tough year. It's hard to fundraise. There was a lot of expectations in 2020 with Texas, and we did not flip what we thought we were going to flip. But when you do the analysis of it, we didn't lose ground like other states did. We just gained a lot of ground in 2018, and maybe it was unrealistic to go in 2020, but you can't give up. Like you can't give up. Like I honestly thought I was going to be sitting 2020 out, but I was going to be focusing on registering voters. My office, the nice thing having a state office is it's really easy. We have access to the data. There's 140,000 eligible people that are unregistered in Denton County alone. So we were focusing on registering them and getting them registered, because you've got a lot of these suburbs. The Democratic Party hasn't spent a lot of attention on it. That's when I flipped in 2018. No Democrat had ever knocked on my door, even though I have a solid Democratic voting record. So the main difference is that I have won an election, I've won on a swing district, and then I improved a margin. And I've also worked in the Texas legislature. I have a staff that can just move right into the Senate and hit the ground running, where neither of my opponents has that.
Yes. In 2018, I'm a precinct chair also.
Yeah.
In Northeast.
Thank you so much for being a precinct chair, because we know how hard it is to find precinct chairs.
It is hard, and it's rewarding also.
Yeah.
To talk to these voters that don't understand how important it is.
I don't
to vote.
I think, so I did have a ground game in 2020. Like I did field, and I think that's why my margin improved. I also sent an email to the HDCC in August saying that if we did not switch our strategy, we were going to lose. And I wish I wasn't right, but people did call me and say, Michelle, you were right. People didn't listen to me in August when they should have. And I saw it, because I think when you flip a district, but the thing is, people thought it was all the Beto effect, but I think 2018, it wasn't just Beto. There was just an energy in Texas where people were just so fed up of the bathroom bill. We had SB4. So I ran for actually mayor of Carrollton, which is the city that I'm from, before I ran for House. This was my warm-up race, and I obviously didn't win that one, but we did have record turnout, and I targeted Democrats, and I ran unabashedly, even in a nonpartisan race, as a Democrat, saying these are the values. And Carrollton had a 287G agreement, which is basically a show me your papers bill. Basically, the police could act as ICE agents. Anyways, they've had it for 10 years. Nobody had paid attention. It is so important for Democrats to run in every single race, whether you think you're going to win or not, because our voice is important. Carrollton no longer has a 287G agreement. They got rid of it, because once people saw what first of all, it was, racist as all get out. And then on top of that, it was wasting taxpayer dollar. And so sometimes you have to say, why do we need to get rid of this? It has to be something for everybody. I think that's where I talk about, we have a value system that's good for everybody. We need healthcare. I mean, I started because I couldn't find healthcare for my employees. Like, it's really hard as a small business owner, and I say that I have 5 employees, to go find healthcare. I don't think people realize how much their healthcare costs their companies. Like, I don't think, and that Texas not taking the Medicaid expansion is costing everybody, not just I can't remember how many millions, it's $100 billion we've left on the table of our taxpayer dollars that should stay in Texas. Why send our taxpayer money to California and New York? Because that's where it's going. Keep it in Texas. Let's get better healthcare for everybody and lower the cost for everyone. And so then, if businesses don't have as much cost for their healthcare, they can then improve their wages. It does go that it does. This is how this works. So I started campaigning in 2018 on that. I'm still campaigning. Nothing's changed. I just changed for lieutenant governor instead of HD25 on my website. I didn't have to change much. So there you go.
The 2000 in the Northeast San Antonio, we had 2 women for Commissioner's Court, Christine Hortich, and we had Selena Montaya in 121, where I live. We closed the gap 10%.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes a difference. Like, look at how much our county commissioners, like, people need to pay attention to every single elected official. Look at how much the county judges and county commissioners, look how important they are since the pandemic came out. Look at how much their decisions affect your day-to-day life. I think we don't pay attention. Like, I mean, I'm used to people seeing that in my area, and that's why the precinct chairs are so important, because they are the smallest group that can know your precinct. When you have good precinct chairs, Democrats win.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where it is. If you get, and I mean, it's hard, and you've got to give them guidance, and then county part. It's just we've got our state party, our county party, and all the different levels, but you have to give them tools for them to be able to move forward. And I worked in Denton County. I'm really focusing on Denton County because that's where I live, and that's what I was planning on doing. And so I'm continuing with that, as well as running for lieutenant governor. I mean, this statewide, the most important thing for a Democrat is to stay in the newspaper. And so I stay in the press, and because I am controversial, and I do think getting out there, and I'm not afraid. I don't care who they are. We also need to hold our own accountable as well. Like, look at what we have today with Cinema and Manchin. I mean, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. But I also, those Democrats that went back when we were breaking quorum, that slumped back into the state house, they should be held accountable. I mean, we all stayed out for 2 months and they got nothing. All the bills went through. And if we had just stayed out until the Republicans became desperate, I think that they would have eventually started to work with us, because they would have been forced to. But yeah, I would have stayed out as long as I needed to. I mean, because I think you get elected to fight. It doesn't matter. Like, I wasn't thinking about 2022. I was thinking about, what did the people elect me for in 2020 to do in 2021? And I know what was on my website, and I have Democratic values. I'm going to fight tooth and nail for those values. And so that is, I mean, I think what the voters get with me, because I've been elected, I have a voting record. You can go look at my voting record. You can go see how I voted. You can go see all of those things. The other 2 people running on this, yes, they have a platform, but do you really know how they're going to vote? They don't have that, because they haven't been elected. And they may be fine. Like, I'm not calling them liar. That is not what I'm saying. But I have, you can go see what I'm saying right now, you can go see, well, how did she go vote?
Yeah,
I voted. I can tell you I have a 100% voting record with labor, 87% with environmental, mainly because I do believe that gas lines are okay in your house, because it was the only thing that kept my house warm when I didn't have power for 30 hours. So I do think some of the things we leave it up to the people, leave it up to the cities. That was so I do firmly defend local control. I mean, I've always voted consistently with that. I've worked, even though I am the only Democrat in my area, so all my mayors are Republican. Everybody I call them all up. I talk to them, my school boards. Where are we going? How are we doing? How are all these bills going to affect you? Because that's what you should do, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. I did also manage to get my legislative priority, which was election day vote centers for Denton County, so they could apply for them for their machines. I actually did get that in the elections bill. So I worked with Briscoe Kane, of all people, my former desk mate. I know he's my former desk mate. And I can work across the aisle. Like you can work your conviction, but you go find what can we get done. And, now we're just waiting on our county to file the paperwork and the Secretary of State. So, but that actually, I thought it was just a local bill. That actually is going to make it better for 70 other counties that can now apply, because they had those kind of equipment. It actually is going to make it easier. Bear County already has, y'all already have, you don't worry, you guys already have election day polling centers. So it's just something they have to apply for. I mean, and Collin County's had it for 12 years. It's not like it's Democrat or Republican. It's just an easier way for these counties to do it. And our statute is they have to apply. And Denton County had upgraded their machine. It was so boring. It's so boring. 2018, they upgraded their machines. It's the most boring thing, but that's what elections should be. Just updating the statute for the new technology. That's all that bill did.
yeah.
It should. Why is that controversial? It shouldn't be. Like that should
It
not be
is.
controversial.
It is.
No.
But the Republicans want to make it controversial. They want to make where
They want to make it hard. You know what? I'm so mad that my birthday was on November 28th. I thought I was so with it this year. I went online a week before. I thought I could just get my driver's license renewed on my, a week before my birthday. And no, for some reason I have to go in, because I guess it's been so many years, and I have to go in. The earliest appointment I can get is March 9th. Now I have a passport, but if I was a regular person, I mean, you couldn't vote. Like you wouldn't have a current ID to be able to vote. Like that's a problem that you can't, that is a state agency. The Department of Public Safety, we should be able to renew driver's license in a timely manner. And more than 90 days is not a timely manner.
Yeah.
And you should not have to drive 50 miles to renew your driver's license and spend an entire day. Like I could have if I wanted to go out into the boonies and go, but there was no, so I'll wait till March 9th. So technically I'm driving around without an efficient license.
But I think that's in different areas, just because Bear County, I know, does allow people with expired driver's license to.
Yeah, I think it depends on how your elections judge and how they're going to be. And I have a passport, and I think you can, if you have an expired license, you can just say, here, I'm getting it renewed. But, they're getting kind of crappy. Like they can be, your elections officials can be pretty stringent.
I know in Comal County in 2020, the voting machines went down in Comal County the day of election day, and I would freaking out for them.
I mean, I would freak out. And so in 2016, Denton County had, during that presidential against Hillary Clinton and Trump, that year, 2016, Denton County had all during early voting. That's why they got new machines in 2017, because their machines were old. They had all kinds of problems. And I had to go vote. I had to go stand in line like 3 times because the machines kept breaking during early voting. And by election day, they got them fixed. But yeah, like you were standing in line. And I will say that even Denton County is, for the most part, for those of y'all who don't know, is a pretty much, I'm the only Democrat that's elected there. There's me and a JP, and that's it. The rest, every other elected official is, and it's about 1 million people. All the other elected officials are Republicans. So we would call it a Republican county. And, they're actually pretty good. And our elections official is really good. We're working with them, just on the different things, because the voter registration forms, now they're saying there's a paper shortage and the Secretary of State doesn't have the new forms, but there's a lot of people with the old forms. And this week they were saying they weren't going to take the old forms because the elections law changed, but now they're like, oh wait, we can take them because there's so many of these old forms out for just registering to vote, because we don't have online voter registration. Like, I learned on the elections committee, like, barring this new bill, before even this new bill came out, the worst thing that Texas has, it's so hard just to register to vote. Like, it is so complicated, and that you have to become a VDR for every single county. Well, the city of Carrollton that I live in is in 3 counties, because it's in Dallas County, Denton County, and Collin County. And so when you've got these metropolitan areas that are just spreading into, like, you don't know where one starts, you don't even know where the city of Dallas ends and Carrollton begins. Like, there's no demarcation anymore. There used to be fields and stuff, but now it's just all Dallas Fort Worth. It's all just one big city. And you don't know, even though there's multiple cities in between there, people driving around don't know what county they're in. They don't know, like, so your DVR, like, I didn't realize, like, every county has a different DVR test. It's slightly different. They're not uniform.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Like, so yeah. So some of them you can, just they do it just slightly different. And that is something that on the elections committee, should we make it uniform, that they're all the same? Or if you're a VDR from one county, why can't you be a VDR in every county? Why do you have to go to every single county and become a VDR? So maybe that may be something we may need to start looking at, because everything is blending together. And you could be at an event somewhere in the Dallas Fort Worth area, or I don't know where Bear County, I don't know where the lines are as much down there, but I'm sure you have areas that are the same, where you have Bear and then Commonwealth County and other counties where's one county, do you even know where the county line is? Like, does, one street just, and then now all of a sudden you're in another county. And that's happening all over. I mean, in Houston, we have it in Harris County and Fort Bend and Montgomery County, and all of those counties are all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
As the state's growing, because the state's growing by our population's growing so much.
And I followed you during the legislation when with this voting, this vote by mail.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about what's happening now with that vote by mail.
So, people, so now you have to know, when you registered to vote, did you use your driver's license or did you use your social security? Well, I'm 52, and that was when I was 18. I don't know what the hell I did then. Okay. There's been a lot of tequila drunk since then. So in all of those years ago, I don't know which number I used. So now when you file your, to vote by mail, you have to remember, did you use your driver's license or your social security? And so, and if you don't put both numbers down, or okay, it's your full driver's license number and the last 4 of your social security. If you don't know which one, now the Secretary of State, there's 100,000 people it doesn't have. They didn't need it, so they didn't use either. So they registered without it, probably because they had different criteria, because they're probably 100 years old. Who knows? I don't know how old these people are. But there are some, so what if their file is just not accurate? And so people have to remember, and then now they have to put both numbers on there. Now, what we're not even talking about is putting all this data. What about identity theft? Now, this is going to make it even easier for people who want to commit identity theft. Because what are we going to do with all these ballots that have all this information on there? So the Democratic Party is recommending that you go ahead and put your driver's license and your last 4, so that'll cover your vote by mail. And then apparently there were a whole bunch of applications, the old applications that people either sent out or they picked up or the counties printed out or these people printed out before the law changed. We don't know exactly when they printed them out. And so people actually applied with the old form, and that's what most of them are being, that's the 50, that's why most of them are being thrown out, whoever, whatever those ones. So I don't actually think they're the ones that the Texas Democratic Party sent out. I think it's the people who printed them off of different websites. And maybe some of these counties, and the other thing you have is just because a website you update it doesn't mean people can't find old, like traces of old website stuff. And my second husband was a Unix admin. And so I know all about how like little ghosts of websites stay around on the internet. They don't just go away. And so it could be just that. It could be just that because the law just went into effect. And then now we're registered. There wasn't enough time for all of that stuff to be updated. And I think that's what we're seeing. And I know we're used to everything being instantaneous, but it's not. Or what about the library that maybe just had some applications? Or what about just a random, it could have been a precinct chair, Democrat or Republican, that just had some of the old forms and just said, here you go fill these out. It could be that people are just used to filling out the same form. And it just, and so that's what they're doing. So now we do have, people can track their online, their vote by mail application now, because, a lot of those got thrown out in 2020. I mean, the amount of numbers, and what I learned in the elections committee is the Secretary of State office wasn't even tracking how many ballots were thrown out and for what reasons by counties. We think about 8,000 to 10,000 were not counted in 2020. And that's just mail-in ballots. Now, so Denton County, because we didn't have election day vote centers, so you had to go to your assigned polling location. So how many people just go to the closest, the library they see on their way home? They go in there. We had 2,500 people in Denton County alone, ballots not count because they voted at the wrong polling location. And we didn't even talk about that in the elections committee.
In Johnson County, y'all can only vote on
election day. On election day, you have to go to your assigned polling location. That's the bill that I changed. Now, early voting, you can vote anywhere.
In Bear County, on election day, we can vote anywhere.
Yeah, because you guys have the election day vote centers. That's the bill. So now Denton County can apply. They have to apply with the Secretary of State, and then they have to approve it. But there's still, most people did not think I was going to get that bill passed because I made it my legislative priority, and I put it in the paper beforehand. This is my legislative priority. Here's my bill filing. Here it is in here. And then then we broke quorum, and then it made it into the vote thing because Briscoe Kane and I both agreed that it was supposed to be one of the things that was supposed to be in the elections bill. It's the uniformity of it. He believes in the uniformity. So he and I both agree on the uniformity of if you've got one county doing this, all the counties should be able to do it. And I do. I think so. You go find what do you agree on? And I do agree. The rules should be the same in every county, right? I mean, I think it's easier for people. It's also more cost effective if you want to.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I know. It's okay. I have my dog. My cat's in here with me. If that makes
sense. Yes. What important do you agree with the Texas Democratic platform, like on legalizing marijuana?
I'm for full legalization of cannabis, and then we also marijuana. Is it legalization or decriminalization? I'm for both, for whatever method. I'm full on, and then we need to expunge records. We need to go back and correct the record. Like I am for full. We are missing the amount of research dollars that we are missing for our universities because we are not taking this, and that's just another way that we can reduce. We need to be able to reduce our how much our in-state tuition is, right? We're gonna eventually I went to Texas A&M, so it's a big land grant university. Well, so I have a bill from 1990 when I graduated, I graduated in 92, but in 1990 I have a bill from Texas A&M of 15 college hours, and it was $800 and something, like 800. Well, that same would be like $4,000. Well, that is like we need to get back to where students don't have this ridiculous. And when people get out of college, they shouldn't have like $100,000 worth of debt. They're never going to be able to buy a house. They're never going to be able to pay all this off. We need to not hold back. And so one of the ways we can do that is reduce tuition. So if we have more research dollars, then we can reduce tuition. And so that's another way we can do it. Plus, it's all the jail. We could go into all of it. And so for one point, I was supposedly the most liberal Democrat, whatever that means, because I don't think anything liberal comes out of the Texas House. Let me just clarify that. And if you look at my bills are so boring. I mean, there's nothing really crazy liberal. I mean, I guess I did want to, get the statute, our LGBTQ statute, in line with the federal statute, because we have homosexual sex is apparently illegal in our Texas statute. So we're just trying to clean it up, right? We're just trying to clean up the language so that it meshes with the federal. But other than that, I mean, I'm carrying small business bills. I'm like, it's a lot of local bills. It's just really boring. And now but apparently I voted more with the Democratic platform than anybody else. So apparently that's why. So I'm consistent. I'm very, what you're going to get. And so, yes, I do believe in that part of the platform. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I mean, we basically just want to fund education, get the Medicaid expansion, criminal justice reform. I vote along for all of those things. I'm pretty much against charter schools in the current form, because I think that our public schools should all have the same oversight, and charter schools are not seeing that. And we're seeing a lot of expense there. I don't think we're getting the taxpayers getting the value for what that is. We don't know because we haven't researched it. And if they're not getting any better results than the traditional public school, then why do we have them? I don't know. I think we need to go an overview. That needs a deep overview of that. And they shouldn't be getting more per student than a traditional public school.
Yes, I grew up in public school. And
I did too. I went, from kindergarten. Kindergarten. I live in Carrollton. I've lived here since I was 6 months old. And so I went from kindergarten to high school, and junior high to high school, and then I went to A&M. So I've done all of the public schools, including a couple semesters in a community college. So, I've done all of the public. I haven't had the merit of all the public education. And I do think that, our public universities are like a pride and joy. I mean, we could have done so much better in this pandemic with the resources that we have available to us in Texas, because we have pandemic study research in both A&M, at UT, University of Houston. If we had used all of those resources, and we could have had a better response to this pandemic, so that we don't have, I think, what's the estimation? Are we up to 80,000 Texans, or getting close to 100,000 Texans that have died from this pandemic? I mean, that should not have happened.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have happened. And I'm not saying we have to shut things down, but we do need, protocols. There needs to be protocols. And you need to know during, I went to Mexico to visit a friend. I went to Cozumel to visit my friend, not when Ted Cruz was in Cancun. I did not go at that time, but a friend of mine lives in Cozumel. I went to go visit her. And when you go to Mexico, every single restaurant you go into, you go in, you stand in line, you wear your mask, they take your temperature, they take your phone number, you go in, you eat. Any place you go into, it's all the same. Like, every single business is doing the exact same thing. And you know what? Nobody cares. We just all do the same thing. There was no drama, no anything. Everybody just did the same thing. And it became none of this fighting, none of this people screaming at each other about masks. It's just, you just had to do it. And if you didn't do it, then there was a fine. And, the reality is, we live in a society, we have to have rules in our society. And we're in a society that's in a pandemic.
Yeah.
And you live in the society, and we know what to do. And it's not a big deal. I mean, I don't know why wearing a mask is a big deal. Whatever.
It isn't a big deal.
It isn't. Whether it works or not. Well, it does work. First of all, it does work. But whether it worked or not, who cares? It's not a big deal. you can wear a mask, you can keep your germs to yourself, and you can care about your fellow Texan. I don't. I still wear a mask. Even I'm fully vaccinated, boosted, all of the above, and you know, I don't know.
It's
I
just
just, I,
it's
I'm.
crazy
It's
because the Republican Party
yeah.
just
Well, they just made it. They created what they like to do is they just create problems.
politics.
They create problems. You know, transgender athletes was not a problem. This is not a problem. There wasn't one complaint. Do you know there are 0 complaints? If we got to a point where traditional women, or I don't, however, biological women were losing scholarships or whatever or something because there's just so many. Okay, but that is not the world we're in. So I let the kids play sports. Let them be healthy. Like the thing, I don't know. Like one of my passions, I've struggled with my weight my whole life, so I do know like once you screw up your metabolism, it's a big thing. So like let's let the kids get as much exercise as they can, so that let's teach them so they don't have these issues, because we know what causes them. Because can't we do better? Like, so let them play whatever sports they want to play. And the percentage of people that actually are getting to the level of going to take scholarships, it's not going to matter. Like those girls are going to kick your butt. I mean, it's just like, those women are going to be like strong, powerful women. And they're going to be they will have taken so much time to get there. And I don't know that a trans woman's going to matter. Like what percentage of that is it?
Yeah.
Anyways, who cares? Let her. It's not going to hurt anybody. I don't understand. It doesn't, you know what? It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect you. And if she can be a productive, I guess they could be a productive. I don't care what pronouns. Tell me what pronouns you want me to call you. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. But if it makes you more comfortable, why not? I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So I guess we kind of go in there, and I think we just have to start treating people like human beings again. Like, how is that so hard? I don't know why it became so hard. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, when you look at like Dan Patrick's not even from Texas. Let's look at, we have a person who's not he's not from Texas. He's from Massachusetts. And if you look at the guy that I beat that wrote the bathroom bill, he was from Arkansas. Like, if you start digging into these far extreme people, they're not Texans.
No, not even Dan Patrick.
They're not Texans. I mean,
Dan Patrick, Greg Abbott.
Greg Abbott, I think, grew up here, but still, like, I mean, but at this point, at what point is it? We don't have a working power grid. We did not fix it. Yeah, and if people are like, oh, that was, I said, no, it went out in 2011. I live in North Texas. I went through it in 2011. Yeah. And I can't tell you, like, I've lived in this house. We have rolling brownouts, like not even like in the summer when it was hot, we were having rolling brownouts. So they couldn't keep the power on during the normal time. Well, we need to look into getting back on getting on the national grid, whatever that is. We need to look at that because it worked. El Paso kept their lights on. Texarkana kept their lights on.
Yeah. We didn't keep. We
did not keep our lights on. And Carrollton did not keep their lights on.
We froze.
It was -2. I had to replumb my entire house.
It was crazy here.
It was nuts. And then the only reason that I had, and now we have, what people aren't even talking about is now we have these unscrupulous contractors that are coming in and ripping people off. So people are still dealing with this. Wow. This isn't some, yeah, I get calls on that in my office. So this isn't something that just instantaneously went away. Yeah. And then, we can talk about, we haven't talked about the border. If you want to talk about, I mean, I've gone down to, weirdly enough, I love the national butterfly. What is her name? anyways, I go down there. It's down in the valley. It's in Hidalgo County. It's on the Rio Grande Valley, and
I'm
she's
from the
dealing
town.
with the fake border wall stuff. Yeah, she's dealing with the fake border wall, and the amount of like people traveling to South Texas, like they go for birding and watching butterflies, and they're losing all of this economic revenue because people think it's something that's happening that's not. And I think we have to address that we have a migration because of environmental changes, because of climate change. And this is a mass migration that is happening everywhere. Because I had to go look up, where did these people from Haiti come from? Like, where did they come from? It's not like Haiti is right here, And so I had to go look up where they came from, because we had these immigrants. And that is from 2008, from the earthquakes they had. There's just a group of people that are homeless. And I mean, we do need it. It's a federal level, but the state and federal government needs to work together on that.
Yeah, but they're not coming from Mexico. They're coming.
No, they're not Mexican.
They're coming from Honduras. They're coming from
Honduras and South America. So, that was one of the things. So the district that I represent used to be, before they screwed it up, but before it was a minority coalition district, meaning we have an 8% Korean population. I have an 8% Black population, 20% Hispanic, but the Hispanic is all the Hispanics. So like
Latinos.
Yeah, Latinos. It's Spanish speaking people, right? That aren't from South Americans and Central American, and then there are people from Mexico from a long time ago. They've been here multiple generations, and then some people down in the valley have been, just because their families have lived there longer than most Texans have. They were here. Before the white people came, and so they just lived there. They were just the people that lived there, and then we had all these borders changing because of whatever the hell was going on there. History, we could go read our history. Yes. That was a long time ago. Texas history was a long time ago for me.
Yes, I would like to thank you for being on my show.
Thank you very much.
You have the floor for closing remarks.
No, I mean, thank you very much. I'm glad to have chatted with you. And if there's any questions, people can go to my website, michellebeckley.com, send me an email, michelle@michellebeckley.com. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I pretty much treat everything like a retail business, because I have a retail business. So that's how I am. And we're also in a swing district, so I'm used to dealing with both sides of the aisle. Not everybody's going to have political uniformity, but yeah.
Thank you again, State Rep.
Thank
Michelle, Beckley.
Beckley. Yeah, no, you're fine.
Becky.
Yeah, it's okay.
You are wonderful. You fought with our reps here. Diego Vinal.
Oh, Diego! I used to sit right next to him on the House floor. Yeah, is he your state rep?
He's all of our state reps from San Antonio. My state rep is, I won't mention him. He's a Republican.
Someone we need to replace? No, it's okay.
Our state reps from Bear Democrat, like Diego Vidal, state rep Fel Cortez, state rep Ina Manjades.
She's running for judge.
She's
right?
running for county judge.
Yeah, and then
we're excited to
Leo Pacheco. Leo used to sit in front of me on the House floor. He's a little crazy. He's okay.
But he's okay.
He's okay. He's a good guy.
Yeah. At the end of the day. Thank you so much.
Alrighty. See you guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.